Hi, it's Bonnie Lolly, and welcome to episode 3 of the podcast, The Pale Redneck. Today we're going to discuss more information that was found in my docs file in regards to accusations of child molestation aimed at my father by my mother. So I think at the time I would have been 4 years old, and I was interviewed by the Department of Community Services workers, and this is a trigger warning. So apparently I told the Department of Community Services workers that questioned me that I was molested over 100 times. They did a medical examination at a hospital in Newcastle, and it was found that I wasn't molested in that way by my father, which I can tell you is true. He was not a child molester. And so I'm just wondering, when divorces happen, people have their own interests and they don't think about the effects that it has on the children. My father was writing letters to my grandfather saying, my ex-wife doesn't know the effect that this is going to have on the children. We were in Australia with no relatives. My father immigrated from New Zealand in 1977 with my mother and my sister Joy. We did not have a single relative in Australia. Everyone was in New Zealand. And when we were put into foster care, I'm sure they were exploring avenues as if we could have been placed with family members, but there was none in Australia, and we couldn't. I don't think my father got our New Zealand passports. He didn't get them in time, so that was another reason. And that's just another part of the docs file that I've read. And another thing too, I've had my own interactions with Department of Community Services with my eldest child, George. What happened was my partner went into prison when George was 2 weeks of age, and I was trying to look after my child by myself. I moved back home with my mother, which in hindsight was a very bad idea. Instead of being supportive or helping me in any way of showing some sort of maternal instinct, she would just scream at me and call me like filthy or whatever. So it was a bad idea to move back with her. I thought I'd be getting support from her, but that wasn't the case. And I looked after my child with my mother until 2003, and then I moved to Harris Park by myself. My brother and my sister-in-law used to babysit my son when he was about 3 or 4 years old, every once in a while, so I could get a break. They did not look out for mental health support for me. They didn't. Basically what they did is they took photos because my son had bruising, and they took it behind my back, and they basically notified to the Department of Community Services on me and my current husband, who I have been together with for 20 years, and there has not been one domestic violence call out. He has a police clearance. He has a working with children's check. He was working in disability. So you tell me what the truth is, okay? The truth always comes out in the end. And that's where I will leave this podcast.